Hello everybody, this is Coach Steve Money, and these are my thoughts on the Wall Street Journal today. An article of theirs called Dave Ramsey Tells Millions What to Do with Their Money. People under 40 say he's wrong. Young adults are rejecting the finance guru's advice to live frugally while getting out of debt. And it's not just people under 40, people over 40 say he's wrong as well. And so it's not a generational against generational type of thing. Let's get into it. On their own, for the first time, young professionals are craving sound financial advice. They just don't want to hear it from Dave Ramsey, which that's fine. So don't listen to him. Ramsey has 63 years old, has 4.4 million Instagram followers, 1.9 million TikTok followers, and legions more who listen to his radio show and podcasts on YouTube. And he is probably more successful now than he has ever been. His message is brutal and direct. Avoid debt at all costs. Pay for everything in cash. Embrace frugality. And that's right. And you don't have to do that. It's a free country. You can do whatever you want. So you don't have to run it by him or get him to change his mind on anything. It says plenty of 20 and 30-year-olds are pushing back, largely on the talk. The hashtag Dave Ramsey wouldn't approve, for instance, has 66.8 million views. Many say they don't want to eat rice and beans every night, a popular Ramsey trope. That just means eat frugally. Or hold down multiple jobs to pay off loans. They also say Ramsey is out of touch with their reality. Rising inflation led to surging prices for groceries, cars, and many essentials. When has prices not gone up? College education skyrocketed. It obviously absolutely has. So if you want to take out loans, you can take out loans. Again, you don't have to get Ramsey to change his advice. You don't have to listen to him. Let's see. Morgan Sanner, 26-year-old, runs a resume advice company in Columbus, Ohio, and shared her feelings about Ramsey on the talk. She began paying off $48,000 in student loans, a Ramsey do, and also took out a loan to buy a 2016 Honda, a Ramsey don't. Her rationale was that it was safer to pay extra for a more reliable car than a junker she could buy with cash. She feels these sort of real-life decisions don't factor into his advice. They don't because they're what you want to do. Like everything you want, all these unnecessary things that you want, and you don't need them, and you're in debt for them. And so he does not agree with that. Let's see. That her video has 875,000 views, and that's great. I hope it makes her enough money to pay off that dumb car loan and that dumb student loan. Hope so. Through a spokeswoman, Ramsey declined an interview request. Direct messages to Ramsey went unanswered, probably because he's in Cabo on Davecation. So that's would be one reason. The other reason is, who knows? For Ramsey, whose TikTok posts often contain incendiary tidbits from his radio show, the pushback might be part of the plan. After all, uncomfortable advice is a key component of his success. That's right. You're not supposed to be comfortable if you're drowning in debt. Okay, and so we go to the next segment. It says you're pretty much screwed already, which is in quotes, and that is something that Dave did say. Let's dig into it. Naomi Israel began watching Dave Ramsey's video on YouTube when she was in college at New York University before TikTok became the go-to platform. He has more than 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. Not knowing about money feels scary, especially when you're a young adult and have to pay your bills. You wonder, should I go on a trip or invest in the S&P 500? I'm just looking for the right answers. Well, that's not even if you're scared about money, why would you say, oh, the thing to do would be to go on a trip? So that is illogical. Don't understand about that. Let's see. She works at a company that develops finance curricula for schools, and Ramsey has that as well. Foundations in Finance is the Ramsey curriculum for that. And initially drawn in by no-nonsense advice. He recommends setting aside some money for emergencies. She did. Great. But eventually some of his messages triggered a different response from her. Wait, what? She saw a comment from Ramsey online about how people receiving pandemic stimulus payments were, quote, pretty much screwed already, quote. Israel felt it came across as shaming people. No, it's not shaming people. It's accurate. What he said was, the entire quote was something like, if the $1,000 stimulus or $1,200 stimulus, whichever one it was at the time, makes your life so much better, like significantly changes your life, just $1,000 significantly changes your life, then you are pretty much screwed already. So, because, you wouldn't get that without it being a handout from the government. And so if $1,000 is all that you need to change your life, then you're in rough shape. And so that's what that meant. That's not shaming people. That's saying what the shape you were in. And then it talks about pandemic shutdowns, ending a decade-long economic expansion for Black Americans. And Mr. Ramsey had nothing to do with that. So that's got nothing to do with it. And he's talking about moralizing financial decisions is very damaging to any marginalized groups. And again, talk to the government about that. That's not Mr. Ramsey's issue. And then it goes over Ramsey's life, career. Dozens of Facebook groups devoted to following his method. Net worth estimated at more than $200 million. I might be right, might be wrong, do not know. And now it talks about the no credit scores, not having a credit score. And this young lady says, people need a credit score, says Mandy Phillips, a 39-year-old residential mortgage loan originator in Redding, California. Okay, so you're in California, which has some of the highest real estate around. And of course you want them to have a good credit score because then they can borrow more money. They can borrow more money from you. And so, of course. Let's see. She uses TikTok and other social media to educate millennials and Gen Z about home buying. And so does Dave. Scores are vital when applying for mortgages and rental. They're not necessary. You can do manual underwriting to get a mortgage. And for a rental, I have had no problem without a credit score getting my last 3 apartments. That was over many, many years. She also takes issue with Ramsey's advice to only obtain a home loan if you can take out a 15-year fixed mortgage with a down payment at least 10%. I'm sure because you're in California where you have a bunch of people that don't make California-sized salaries, but you still want them to buy a home in California. And so the 15-year mortgage keeps you from buying too much house. Because then if you do that, then your house poor, and then you can't progress financially because all your money's going to pay the mortgage. Few younger buyers can pay the large monthly bills of shorter term mortgages. And that's right, because they can't afford it. Let's see, that may have worked years ago in the 80s and 90s. And so it's not a thing about the 80s and 90s. It's not a thing about the year. It's not a thing again about one generation against another. It's about a group of people. In this case, you're saying 40s and under that think Dave is out of touch. And that think that his advice is not good just because it doesn't let you get what you want when you want it. And that's fine. Again, You don't have to run your life by Dave Ramsey if you don't agree with him. If you don't want to follow his advice, you do not have to. So what does it matter if he is also on TikTok or YouTube or anywhere else saying his opinion? You can still have your opinion and do your own thing. So I do not understand that at all. Housing, particularly hot button topic, right? Advises people to only buy a house with their lawfully wedded spouse, yet many adults are pooling their finances with partners, friends, or roommates to buy their first homes. Do you know how many calls he gets where one of the other people on the lease or mortgage has bounced, and so then the remaining person is on the hook for it all? It's a ton of calls like that. And it happens all the time. There's too much risk that can go on. And that's what people aren't thinking of. It's the risk. The Ramsey advice is very risk averse. So you're trying to minimize the risk as much as possible. Ramsey is perhaps best known for advocating a debt snowball method, right? People with multiple loans pay out the smallest balances first, regardless of interest rate, right? As you knock out each loan, he says, the money you have to put towards larger debt snowballs, right? Keeps getting bigger. Seeing small wins motivates people to keep going, he said. Yes, it does. And so conventional economic theory would be to pay off the highest interest loans first, right? That is, but what about the average person who would lose interest in the plan after they didn't get any small wins right away or very fast? And then they just quit altogether. So, because often your highest interest loan might be your highest amount loan as well, and that would take the sales out of that ship. What Dave Ramsey would say is, I don't care, paying down the highest interest debt first is cheapest, because if you give up midway through, that's more expensive. I think the jury is out on that. No, it's not. And it's not out on people being more motivated if they get more wins early. There's no jury that's out on that. He has millions of documented success stories. They're documented. Okay? Any of these other financial people don't have anywhere near that. So, but one more time, again, you can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to take his advice. So why not just do what you want to do and let him say what he's saying, and you could say what you're saying on the TikTok or the YouTube or anywhere else. All right, embracing debt. So he definitely doesn't want you to do that. Save, not spend message sounds logical. Yep, good, young adults say. Great, I'm glad they realize that. It's his all or nothing approach that doesn't work for them. Well, yeah, I mean, they just want to have what they want, whether they can afford it or not. And so that's where you get loans. So you can get a loan if you want and get something that you can afford. And that's fine. So again, you don't need to worry about what Dave Ramsey thinks about it if you want to do that. So she wonders if the debt aversion is generational. Nope. Perhaps younger people are less willing to make huge sacrifices to be debt-free. That much is probably almost certain, I would think. Because younger people definitely have more things in their face, which is their phone. Scrolling through, looking at Instagram, seeing what other people have. Oh, I want that. I want that. TikTok, seeing all kinds of videos, people having different stuff, giving advice to say, do this and do that, and it's not proven. The number of views they have doesn't mean that their advice is proven. Let's see, maybe carrying some amount of debt forever is the new normal. My goodness, I hope not. her video about her credit card debt journey and how it doesn't align with Ramsey's perspective have more than 745,000 views. That's great. And, you know, if you put Ramsey's name in it, you can get some views. And obviously, that's what I'm doing as well. And so that's fine. More power to them. Again, the final thing on this is you don't have to run it by Dave Ramsey. So why do you need to try to pit generation versus generation? It's not with generations. People 40 and over have just as much problem with his advice. And she says in TikTok, sorry, I'm not willing to do anything to get out of debt. I'm not willing to eat rice and beans every day. And again, rice and beans does not mean you have to eat rice and beans every day. That just means you have to eat cheaply and not go to Starbucks every day. So to sum up, I don't know why. I mean, a lot of people do it. A lot of people call the Ramsey show asking for his blessing, basically, on what they want to do, and sometimes it includes debt, sometimes it includes all kinds of stuff, but they want his blessing, and they think they're going to be the first person that he says, yeah, it's okay for you to take out a loan, but he's not going to do it. His advice, again, has worked for 30 years, millions of documented success stories, and if any other financial advisor can even come close to that, let's hear about it. So, alrighty. So, and hopefully I get a few views from this, obviously. But I believe in Dave Ramsey. I'm a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. And you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation assessment with me at calendly.com/coachstevemoney. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to follow Ramsey advice, we can still be friends. That's exactly what Dave says. I stole that from him. All this is his advice. I'm just passing it on because it did so much wonderful stuff for me. You can email about coaching or anything else on my YouTube channel at coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Channel donations can go to paypal.me/coachstevemoney. You can add me on the gram at coachstevemoney. Of course, my YouTube channel is youtube.com/coachstevemoney. Thank you so much for watching.